Hi, I'm Lakej, and I'm here to answer some quick questions about who I am and what I do. So, when and why did I start making music? Well, I've been making music for a very long time, but 20 years ago or something like that, I was only playing around with Ableton a little bit, making beats, making edits and that kind of thing. And then about 13 years ago now, I started buying gear, and I was really dedicated to develop my skills and start making techno. It's a very good question. Well, I mean, the idea of making techno was always kind of appealing to me. I had a really big love for the club scene of things and the underground sound. I was at the time when I started really getting into it, I was roommates with a guy who was a DJ, and he was DJing techno a lot at home, which really sparked my interest even further and made me really want to get into it and really understand it. Really understand how you could make something interesting for 6 minutes without basically anything happening within the music. And this was a very big attraction for me. And a big part of me going into this at that time was that I was going to art school. In art school, I also got a lot of creative tools, how to develop your processes and how to develop a conceptual art to express yourself using certain amounts of processing tools. Setting up your little frame of limitations, if you will, and then start kind of scratching that surface and going deeper within it. And this was really attracting to see. For me, I saw the connection into music and how conceptual techno is, and I really wanted to dig further. And since I was working very much with a visual art, I was painting a lot of oils and I was drawing a lot. I felt the need to be doing something that was a lot more abstract, which techno fit perfectly into that mold. And so that's how it all began. So way back in the day when I was making beats and edits, my go-to DAW was Ableton, because it felt very intuitive, very simple to drag and drop things in and start cutting away and edit. After that, when I got into more the other side of production, before I started buying gear, I was trying some other DAWs. I was trying Reason, I was playing around with Logic, but Ableton is the one that stuck. It felt very intuitive. It felt very comfortable with the workflow, is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, it felt very comfortable with the workflow. And it really suited my way of thinking, because with Ableton, basically, if you think something and you think to yourself, is this possible to do, then it probably is, and you can try it out, and it usually works. So that's why I really love it. My style of techno came from, I guess, years of experimenting, right? So it wasn't something that just came to me and was there, but I was working on my music for many years before I even sent out my first demo, because I felt like I wasn't reaching the sound that I was going for. I wasn't feeling comfortable. It didn't feel personal enough. And my vision and my idea was still not there, you know? So for me, it was very important to come to a point where I could feel comfortable with my processes and my tools to get the sound that I wanted, and then, only then, get to send out a demo and hope for a release. The sound has developed over the years, of course, and styles have changed and moved on a bit, and I think that's natural for any musician. you want to keep it interesting for yourself, right? And you want to challenge yourself and keep learning. But for me, the core idea of using a few source sounds, layering them, making lots of textures and details and all these kind of structures has always been at the core of my idea of production and my music. So yeah, I made a masterclass for seine, which I'm really happy to do, and in which we talk a lot about the mental aspect, the tools that I really tried to cultivate that came from art school, you know, like how to develop your conceptual ideas and how to work within the boundaries of a processing, within the boundaries of your processing tools, and to really start exploring those and abusing those tools to the maximum, to start developing a personal sound and a very creative and inspiring workflow that doesn't result in you getting stuck in the studio, basically. Because I think that a lot of people come from with music, a lot of people come from maybe a musical background if they have a prior education when they come into techno. Either that, or they don't really have, you know, they just have the interest. They haven't gone to art school or haven't got those tools. And I see a lot of people being frustrated really in a lot of ways that you don't need to be if you have a mental mindset that opens up your workflow so it can be enjoyable. To create a full track from just basically one sample, and that's where we go from. We create a kick and then we put it into the sampler and we start processing, and we go from the idea, we go from the initial sample, we go through different layers of sound design, we go through a lot of processing tools, we start sketching it up, we make the full arrangement, and then we go into the mixing phase and how to finalize this for a pre-master. So what are my influences when it comes to music? My influences with music are mainly outside of techno, I would say. When I'm outside of the studio, I don't really listen to techno. For me, techno is associated with being in a creative process, be it producing or DJing. So I try to keep it like that, and also that's a really important part for me to keep it always interesting. So I don't want to tire myself out always listening to techno, you know. And I want to come back to the studio with a fresh hearing and fresh ears. Also, there's so many good genres of music out there, and I do believe that if you look hard enough, you will find good music in any genre that you can like and appreciate. So for me, that's a challenge, and I love to dig around for music I haven't heard before. It's one of my great joys and one of my big hobbies outside the studio. Other hobbies, apart from digging for music, yeah, I do have them right now since like I would say a year back. I've started like cooking a lot and baking bread and that kind of thing. That's been huge, and it's also really nice and relaxing to go outside of the studio and go home and then focus on something completely different from another world, you know, like talk to my partner about tastes and recipes we want to try out, and schedule the bread baking and so on, because we bake mainly with sourdough, and that demands a little bit of planning, and it takes a little bit of time to do, which is in itself really relaxing and sort of a meditation, you know. Yeah, that's stuff that I really appreciate outside of the studio, and it also inspires me, of course. Like, it's with anything, like I've talked about before, it's my music is a lot about processing and processes, and so is cooking and baking bread. It's all about the process, and you need to learn the process, and you need to trust the process, and you'll get good results. So yeah, as a natural progression of my artistry and my output of music, I recently started my own label. It felt like a good next step to do, a natural next step to do. So yeah, we have it here. We'll get some reflections. So maybe like that. I don't know. It's the first EP is a solo EP by me. It's an 5-track EP, one track being an ambient outro. So the label is called Solitaire. It comes from me feeling a little bit alienated and lonely in Stockholm, since most of my musical contacts and friends that I've got to know through music and through this techno that I'm making are all located outside of Sweden, basically. There's a few in Sweden, but they're not in Stockholm. So yeah, that's kind of a natural name for me to apply. And it means in Swedish what you think it means. It's solitary, yeah. So that's how it came to be. But being that, having that said, the whole idea of the label was always to create a platform for myself and my musical friends. I really hope you enjoy it and sign up to this masterclass. See you there.